Hey you guys, it's Dani. I am going to be showing you guys a tower spell today. So I want to start first and foremost by saying, when working with really big energies in the tarot, like the Tower or the Devil or the Wheel of Fortune even, these are, I like to categorize them as more of a chaotic energy, only in the sense that these things are hard to control, right? The Tower is about not being able to control something. And so I just want to caution you, please make sure that you are taking the time to understand the energies that you're working with before you work with them, okay? Because these can be some very powerful spells, and if you don't counter these big energies, these kind of chaotic energies, things can get lost, or things won't really turn out the way that you're looking for. It might change in a different way. So just be cautious with the energies that you're working with. Just a PSA. So let's kind of jump in. Of course I'm gonna give you guys a little piece of lanyap, because before we start this working, which I have performed, I created this tower spell specifically for the new moon in Cancer for myself, because Cancer is my sun sign, this is my birth month, and I wanted to make sure that I did something incredibly powerful with this moon, especially because there was a solar eclipse involved. So I felt like this was a great time to create this spell and to work through this energy. Again, do this when you feel is the right time. Keep it in your pocket for right before your birthday or at the new year. That's also really helpful. These, well, you'll see. This is about making those big changes in your life. So, my little piece of lanyap, before we begin, I'm going to show you guys how to create an accepting, how do I describe it? It's like accepting yourself, opening yourself up to what's coming, right? So this is kind of like an opening oil, an acceptance oil, because it kind of accepts yourself where you are and opens you to change. I have a tendency to isolate myself, so that's a big thing that I'm like trying to tear that down and open it wide. So this is the kind of oil. You can make it as an oil or a loose incense, which is what I'm going to show you guys today. But you can easily alter this, use essential oils instead of or in place of certain things, completely up to you. But just a little lanyap to bring in those extra energies to kind of open up your heart and your space, right? So let's start with that. Now, because, and you'll find out in a bit when we start our actual spell, I wanted to make sure that everything was very close to home, right? That everything had a meaning when doing this type of spell. I didn't want anything extra that didn't serve a purpose, right? This is a magic that's particular. So I decided that I was gonna do this little oil as an incense. I feel like I'm tripping over my words today. I'm sorry, you guys. This is a more serious spell. I'm a serious person today. So what I've done is I've gathered my stuff, and I'm going to burn mine in an oyster shell that came from the bay, which is not very far from here. So I am going to first get charcoal all over the place, and then light this and stick it in my oyster shell. And I'll show you guys a shot of that in just a sec. So let's get this lit. It's gonna spark. It's gonna sparkle. You can see it sparking. There it is. Let that heat up real quick. While that is starting up, I do have some pieces of sage to make sure that my space is clear. I have some frankincense resin. So again, if you want to make this into an oil, you can substitute the oils for these, or mix and match, do a frankincense oil with the other things. It's all up to you. But these are great for this energy. So this is some frankincense. I have some sandalwood pieces here. And then I have some jasmine here. My jasmine bush decided that it was going to get rid of all of its vines this year. But it's still growing at the bottom. I don't know what happened to my sweet baby, but hopefully it'll be back and it'll flourish after this. So, yes, we're nice and hot. And I love this oyster shell because it's got some little ridges so it doesn't sit directly. Because the last thing I want to do is like burn my stuff, so be careful. So let me turn you around so you can see what's going on. All right. So first things first, I'm going to take some pieces of sage and I'm just going to sit that on here. It's going to get a nice smolder. Add on some of the sandalwood. Oh, I love the smell of this, you guys. It is top notch. I'm going to add in this frankincense. Now again, intention is everything. Of course, I didn't show, I did set my circle before we began. I add on my jasmine here. Just keep that intention in mind, being open, releasing that isolation when it is unnecessary. So now we have our lovely incense going. I'm also going to throw this on the side. If that catches, I'm not too mad about it. So here we have our incense going. And we're ready to begin. Okay, so you might see the smoke coming up. It's right behind you. It's right behind us. So, first things first, it's time to choose your tower. But before you do, you need to have like an idea of where this is going. So, the tower has, yes, a lot to do with chaos and uncontrolling forces and things of that nature. But it also has so much to do with liberation, with freedom from something. Whether you want it or not, it liberates you. So when going into this spell, this is what we have in mind. This is the intention for this spell. The main intention is to be liberated from something, especially if it's something that you're struggling with. If you are struggling to break free from something, this is the perfect kind of spell to do it with, in my opinion, tarot spell wise, you know. So first things first, with that in mind, whether you have the tarot deck with you or it's something that you saw on maybe Pinterest or a certain deck, find a tower card image that speaks to you in a deep way. Like when you see it, you get that feeling of like, I have no choice. This is happening, right? So for us here in Louisiana, it was very easy. I found the card that I was looking for. I'm cutting it out right now. I have quite a few copies. This is going to be to keep in my grimoire with my main page. Anyway, I found the perfect tower for myself and my friend, my husband. And I don't have this deck it is now out of print. I'm desperately trying to find it for a reasonable price, so if you know anybody, let me know. But the one tower that stuck out the most to me was from the Delta Enduring Tarot, and that was the Levy. This is their tower. And being from here, New Orleans isn't the only place with the Levy, obviously. We have a lot of these in Louisiana. I actually had a Levy around my house growing up. So this powerful image really evokes that feeling. Matter of fact, I was talking to my friend about it and I was like, so this is what this is about, and when I'm going to show you this, you'll understand why I chose this tarot deck to choose the tower from. And like, I showed her the Levy and she literally teared up because it's such an impactful image for us. It evokes that feeling right away. So find a tower that does this to you, that you just have this feeling of like, almost like a grief, but like, I don't have a choice. It's time to start all over again. I don't have a choice. I just have to go with it. So for me, that was the Levy. So this is the tower card that I would be working with. So with this powerful thing, it has to be counterbalanced. Now the reason I say maybe find it online or make a copy of it is because we're gonna burn this. So we need a disposable copy, right? So that's why I went ahead and grabbed this and printed it out, because this is going to be burned. So get your tower. Now, what I've done is I've chosen to counter this tower, this liberation, this breaking free of what does not work for us anymore, the hardest thing. I chose to counter with the star, because the star brings back the hope. The hope comes right back in. So again, find you a star that's going to make you feel like you have that hope, that you're going to feel like there's going to be something nurtured back into the right place. I found this star. Now, from what I understand, this is a kind of tarot card prototype that I think was done for someone's record, like on a record label. Maybe even Halsey, if I remember right. But it's still a star card, and it really resonated with me because a lot of my tower has to do with personal stuff. And this angel here in the star card has this harp, and she's down and her eyes are closed and she's playing this music, and it just feels like she is just nurturing the music. She's nurturing what she's creating, and I thought that that was such a powerful representation of the star in the way that I needed it, that I chose this one. So again, I'll put the links down below where I found these. I believe I found them both on Pinterest. So I'll put the links below, that way you can see them for yourselves. But these are the two that I have chosen. So we start there with your printable cards, right? To begin, make sure that you have time, okay? Make sure that you have a quiet space, because what you will do is you will take the time to sit with this tower card and really go deep and see what it is that you need to be letting go, that you need to be liberated from. It may not be what you started with, right? You may come in with an idea and say, oh, this is what I want to do. But I beg you, sit with this card and allow the energy to bring up what truly you need to be liberated from. Allow those things to come in. And as they do, as you sit and you meditate, turn this card onto the back and write these things out. Okay, so once you're done writing on the back, you put this face up. on your table, right? So you can see this front. You want to sit with that feeling. And from this, grab your star card, and I want you to write your hope. Once this crumbles, once you are liberated from this energy, what do you hope to gain from it? Because there's always a light and a dark. There's an ebb and a flow. There's a give and a take, right? So what is it that you want to gain? What is your hope after this liberation? This is a starting over in whatever aspect this tower is liberating you from, right? You're going to have to start over. That's the point of this. So in starting over, what is your main hope? Sit with that and write it on the back of the card. Okay, now for the most important part, in my opinion. So you have your tower laying on your table. Take your star and cover it. Cover it completely. And I want you to sit with this energy for a bit. Feel that tower. Feel the liberation. Cry if you have to. Release what you need to release. And then focus on the hope. What will spring from this? And when you feel like you're ready, when you feel like you've gone through and you can feel the hope more so than the loss, then I want you to go ahead and find something to burn your tower in. So let's do this. I like to use my cauldron for this because it is a great place to keep everything contained. And then you take your card and you burn. Please be careful. Please do this safely. Make sure that it burns completely. That it is all ash. So you can see this burn completely in just a single go. So the next part is super important as well. Once this burns down, which you guys, perfect piece of ash. This is all ash. It burned right away. Yay. So again, if you're into this kind of scrying and meanings, I love when something burns up first time. I don't have to relight it. I don't have to do anything. That's powerful magic. Anyway, I find while we're talking about this, it's usually, I find from my experience, if you light something and it burns completely first shot, then it usually is a powerful enough spell to work the first time, to work not with minimal effort, but with as much, if you put into it, it's going to happen, versus ones that you have to continuously light. Well, that doesn't mean that it's not going to work. It means that you're going to have to work at it, right? So if you stumble, continue to do so, right? Continue to move on. So it's just one of those things that I always find the way that it burns usually tells you kind of how hard it's going to be to accomplish, right? So if you have one that you're continuously lighting that just keeps hanging on those little pieces, that's okay. That's okay. Continue to go, continue to burn until it is gone. Just know that this may take a bit of work, but it's worth it if you're doing a spell on it, right? So it's worth it. So continue to push forward. So this cannot stay in your space. This cannot stay in your space. This cannot stay in your space. This is why I said maybe find a cauldron or a bowl or something to burn this in, because you want to make sure that you have the ashes, because you do not want this in your space. Did I mention you don't want this in your space? This kind of tower energy, this kind of, again, I'm going to go to chaos, right? This kind of more chaotic energy. You don't want to keep this around because it's definitely something you want to get rid of. You are being liberated. So there's a few options. You can take it elsewhere. You can leave it in a cemetery. You can go put the ashes in a cemetery. Or like for me, I love to go put these down the sink and rinse it out, because I can do it immediately. This will not sit in my space overnight. This will not sit in my space even for an hour. I want it gone. So if you're going to be doing this and you want to bring it away, make sure it's somewhere that you're leaving for and that you can travel with it, or do it elsewhere. So let's go get this down the sink. So I'm in the sink. I'm gonna start running the water. And what I like to do is douse it with water first and get this down the sink. So the tower has moved away, right? The tower is gone. So your star, what's next for that? A couple of different options again. So the first time I performed this on the new moon, I decided to put this one in my grimoire. She's in my grimoire. This is going to be where I write down, because I have right now, when I wrote up this spell, I always write up my spells on spare pieces of paper, and then I come back and put them in here when I put them in, or I usually leave them on the spare pieces of paper shoved in the back of my grimoire. I mean, whatever, potato, potato, right? So this one is going in here, but for tonight, so this is option one. Now my husband has his in his wallet. He's got his hope inside his wallet that he keeps with him at all times. You can put it in your wallet, in your pocketbook, in your bullet journal, which I did have her in for a bit, or you can burn her. But when you burn her, I recommend releasing it to the wind. So burning her up and throwing the ashes outside. So you want to do that? I think I want to do that with this one. Let's do it. So we are outside under this tiny little moon. We have Benny and Charlie out in the yard. So after I unfogged my glasses, looking crazy, that's okay. We are going to release this hope into the universe. So we light it. Okay. So as always, I like to sit with this. Please be careful. Please don't burn yourself or others. Just set this in my cauldron. As you can see, most of it is ash. I'm gonna have to do this a different way. Let's see if I can get you upside down. And so as you can see, better be careful, please do not burn yourself. This can be incredibly hot. I'm trying to grab it. There is just a tiny sliver. Tiny, tiny sliver. Where are you, my love? In here. There it is. Hot walls. The tiniest of slivers that did not burn. Can you see that? Excuse my outside table. So there's the littlest piece. So to take this just on the side so I don't burn myself, and I'm going to light her up. Ooh. allow her to burn very carefully. Oops, sorry. No, it's out of frame. See? So there, this is just the tiniest piece that's a little stubborn. So again, when it comes to my hope, I know that for the most part, this is gonna be solid, but there's a little piece that might be a little stubborn. Look at my fingernails, how dirty now. So I'm gonna finish this little piece just so I can hold it with both hands. And I'll come right back. So I try to hold it, that way I can have both hands. I put it in between my little shears. So I'm going to burn the rest of it. Yes, it worked this time. All to ash. So we have it. There is no air tonight. We're in South Louisiana. There's never air. Look, I'm fogging. Fogging. It's a hot one. So you set your intention and you blow. Till there is nothing left. Does that make any sense at almost 9 o'clock at night? It's still that hot outside. Ridiculous. So there we have it. So this still has some ash. I'm not really worried about this ash. It's fine to have those. This is a hope, right? This is a hope and a wish and a dream. So I don't mind if there's a little bit of residue in here. If I'm going to do another working that I don't need that for, which is rare, we always want a little bit of hope, but I would clean it out. But right now I'm not really worried. I blew out all that I could, and so I'm just gonna kind of leave the rest of that residue in there. That's no big deal for me. So there you have it, you guys. Now again, there are more ways that you can handle this star card. Like I said, you can keep it, you can blow it, you can even still burn it, but keep the ashes and use it for other magical workings, so that's still an option. But that's about it. That is my tower spell. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you give it a try, if it sounds interesting, if there was something that you would add, please let me know in the comments. I'm really interested to see if you guys liked it, if you've used it, if you've done something similar. I would love to hear about it. So let me know down there, and I will see you guys very soon. If you're looking to contact me, if you have any questions about this and you don't want to leave them in the comments, contact me on Instagram. Send me an email. All of that information is below, as well as my Patreon, where you can see how my deck is progressing, and a bunch of other links for you guys. So I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you have. So let me know if you need anything at all. So I'm sending you all my love and so much magic. Mwah. Later, Gators.